Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Whale Nerds Podcast. This is episode number 74. My name is Slater, and I'm here with Eric, Adam, and Caitlin.
Hi, everyone.
What's up?
Hello.
Woo!
Hey, we got through the intro.
Fourth intro.
You have no idea how many times that just took.
Well, Adam had to have his name in the middle, otherwise he would forget to say when he would say hi.
Yeah, dude, you got to keep it consistent. It's like Eric, Caitlin, Adam, and I'm like, all right, I guess Caitlin's going second this time.
Caitlin's
And it's
always
like
last.
Eric,
No,
Adam,
I
Caitlin.
always wait until you two are done doing whatever you're gonna do.
Yeah,
Caitlin, you always the smartest for last.
true.
Got him. What's up, you guys?
Anyways,
Nothing.
Whales.
We're all
Guess what?
watching whales. Whales.
Lots
We're all in
and
the tank.
lots of whales.
Let me steal an update from you. Someone's in the time zone that we're in, finally.
we're
Ah,
all in the same one.
Oh yeah, for once we're in the same time zone.
thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Didn't have to do a lot of complicated math.
Maths. So where are you heading next? You staying in
+3,
Or-
-3.
Oregon?
No, well, I'm in Oregon for a week, see my family, and change over from my warm weather clothes to my cold weather clothes before I keep going east out to Massachusetts.
Are you driving?
No, I'm flying, but I have like a small stash of things at my parents' house, so I'm just like swapping out some things in my luggage and then keep moving.
Oh, important question for you. Did the whale still breach for your dad when he got there?
Oh my gosh, dude, they had like the best trip ever.
So
Like,
it did
was-
breach.
You did?
Yeah, right in front of
Good.
the boat, all the way out of the water.
Let's hear about it. Is
Yeah,
it
so
the video you posted on the Whale
No,
Nerds?
it was better than those ones, but I was like
What?
cleaning snorkel gear, and so I just like happened to run to the side of the boat because I heard there was a whale, and it jumped. It was like one of those little calf breaches where you see photos and like the whale's like levitating because even the fluke got out of the water.
Lift it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it like kicked it up a little bit, so it was all the way out of the water by at least 2 or 3 feet. It was crazy. It was so cool.
Oh, that's rad.
And did he
Yeah.
yell, "It's still breaching when I got here"?
I don't know. They were on the upper deck and I was downstairs cleaning
Oh.
gear. But yeah, it was awesome. They also had a great snorkel. It was like beautiful, flat, calm, great visibility in Molokini. Then we went over to Turtle Town and they saw lots of turtles and a white tip reef shark. So
Nice.
it was a really great
Love
day.
to hear it.
Yeah.
Because at first you were having some bad weather, right?
Yeah, it was windy and then like the shoreline was really murky pretty much every day except the day that they went on the boat.
Nice.
So yeah.
Any monk
so it was
seals?
good. No. I didn't see any monk seals this season actually.
Really?
Oh, weird.
But I also
Over.
didn't have a lot of time to go look for them. We were really busy this season. So, yeah. And then we lots of competition groups the last couple weeks I was on the water, so that was really great. We had some groups that got upwards of 8 whales in one comp group, which was really cool.
Mhm.
So cool.
And we sighted an injured whale my last day, I think. Yeah, my last trip of this season that I had for pack whale was there's an injured whale. I think it's a ship strike. She's a known female from the splash study, actually. She's
Mhm.
named
no.
Sprinter, and she is normally sighted off British Columbia and then seen in Maui for breeding season. And her first sighting was during the splash study in 1993. She has like a little happy whale profile, so you can kind of check her out and follow along. But she has a lot of whale lice. The wound is healed, but it's a lot of like swollen scar tissue. It looks like maybe like the keel or the rudder actually is what caused the injury, not the propeller.
Mm.
And she has been around. Overall, her like body condition seems okay other than the scarring and the lice. Like she doesn't look overly thin. Her skin is still like pretty dark pigmentation. It's not like she's getting like that really light gray color from being sick.
Mhm.
And she actually like started a competition group while we were there. So like there was a competition group going on. We kept seeing this whale in the distance peck slapping. And so we decided to leave the group we were with and go check out the whale that had been peck slapping. And it was like, it had become 2 whales. And then we got there, it was 3 whales. And then all of a sudden it was 4 whales. And the 3 males were chasing each other around her. And she was just like rolling around peck slapping the whole time.
Nice.
Wow.
Her scar looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
It looks bad, but it's good that there's lice and stuff on it. I'm trying to clean it up.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I'm hopeful that she is going to pull through that. So
I think she'll
Cool.
be okay.
they're pretty tough animals, but
They
yeah.
really
Yes,
are.
they
It's pretty
are.
impressive.
I just realized you've got to work with like 3 different populations of humpbacks. That's pretty cool.
hmm Yeah. I mean, technically,
You have two, Eric.
depends on how you
Yeah.
divvy up the California whales, but it is 2 breeding groups.
Yeah.
So
Pretty awesome.
It's a Costa Rican, right?
Central
Yeah,
American,
Central American, and then
Mexican.
yeah.
I've only ever seen one.
Oh, what, Adam?
Well, you work in California. You might have seen
I
Central
mean,
American whales and not known that.
yeah, but I mean, like in terms of location, like because you get humpbacks on the East Coast too.
Yep.
So that's like 4.
Potentially 4 if you want to count the California whales as 2 breeding groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
So-
cool.
Adam, I thought you've been to Maui.
No,
I
never.
know you haven't, but you've been to San Juan
should-
Island.
We should go this year.
Which
You've
is
seen humpbacks up there.
yeah. Some
guess so.
Hawaiian whales and mostly
Yeah, you
Mexican
could've seen
whales.
it.
Yeah.
I guess most of them are Mexican though, huh?
hmm There's some
I think
Hawaiian
I've seen
ones though.
Frankenstein. I've seen Frankenstein. Frankenstein is a Hawaii whale.
Oh.
Boom! You're right. Ooh, I am cool.
The only other one I've seen that you haven't would be the Icelandic side, which
Yeah.
could potentially be the same as yours, Caitlin, right?
Yeah, I think so. I
Or
maybe,
no?
know
yeah.
a little more about that, but yeah, I think so.
Nice.
So.
We're humpback whale whisperers.
all the humpbacks.
Catch them
Well,
all.
what about you 3, your sightings? What's up?
I'm in Monterey. I saw gray whales. Oh, you're moving back. Shut up, dude. So I had humpback. The humpbacks are trickling in, and some of our regulars have come back. My favorite whale actually came back. It's pretty cool. Gato Baracho is back, and
Oh yeah, you love
nice.
that whale.
yeah, and you know what?
Wow.
Everything's late this year. It's weird. I mean, they're not all here yet, but humpbacks are trickling in. Gray whales are doing the nasty every now and then around us. No calves yet, so I'm waiting for that.
Good. Save them for our late
The all
April.
day. Yeah.
Save them for Slater's all day trip.
Yeah. And then that's about it. Casper keeps on showing up, man. Casper's like become like a celebrity. You know, he always has been a celebrity, but it's just like pretty frequent. And that's about it. Yeah, just good old Monterey sightings.
We sighted an Eric Ostini, huh, Adam?
Oh, dude, I did see an Eric Austin-Hughes. It was a
That's
super rare,
right.
ultra rare pod of Eric Austin-Hughes.
I saw a Slater and an Adam together on the
That
same.
was funny.
We all
Yeah.
waved across boats.
That was
Yeah.
funny.
It was pretty fun.
You guys are silly.
Yeah, it's so funny that Eric like downplayed his sightings because I saw a sightings report from there the other day. It was like 7 gray whales, 2 humpback whales, 200 plus reservoir dolphins, 60 white-sided dolphins, and like something else. I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty horrible day in Monterey.
Yeah, what a terrible day in Monterey.
But yeah, we're not.
average.
Oh yeah, no, they wrote. I think it was Chase Decker. He wrote slow on the whale watching.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Slow on the bigger whales. Like, oh
Well,
yeah,
the
he
thing
only
about-
saw 7 bigger whales.
The thing about Chase is, he's out of Moss too. We've all when we leave from Moss, we've all been going straight south towards Monterey. Yeah, we haven't been getting that clumps, that big huge clumpage, that hangs out right in front of Moss that sometimes we're used to. So everything's a little off this year. I think it's late. Everything's late.
I think everything's late.
Tarde.
It's gonna be a ridiculous year. I feel
Hopefully.
like things are late, but it's gonna.
Wow.
They're all gonna just like
Yeah.
what? Then it's just gonna be like boom. And it's gonna be like lunge. It's gonna be like breach, and then it's gonna be like wow.
How Adam? Boom! Lunch.
I feel like I haven't heard that word tardy since high school.
Tardy.
Tardy. You got a tardy.
You have to go to the principal's office and get a tardy slip. I bet none of you guys ever got one of those, huh?
I have. I've been sent to the principal's office. I've gotten detention.
Ooh,
I
Eric got attention. Adam got
Yeah, he's
one.
probably out
Too
looking for
much
lizards
science.
during class when he was
No, dude, I got detention one time because I like pushed some kid off the swing and my own sister narked on me, man.
Your sister?
It was Eric, my brother.
Yeah, I was like, oh, sure.
That's pretty awesome.
Adam, how about your sightings?
Oh boy, they've been off the charts. Been
Sees one humpback whale tail slap and he loses his mind.
It's been ridiculous, donkulous.
I can't
What do
with
you
Adam
mean?
sightings.
There's like 15 of them here. There's like 20 of them here.
There's
every
like
day.
4 humpbacks, Adam.
No, there's not.
You know they're
Are you
getting
sure it
more.
wasn't the same one breathing 15 times?
Oh, dude, yeah,
Pretty sure.
I love how enthusiastic all of it doesn't matter if Adam sees one sea lion. It's like, dude, there were so many sea lions today. Like, one of them breathed out his nose sideways.
You say that, but there's actually like freaking 20 humpbacks out there, right on the good old 18 line. They're just congregating there with food. We also had a really good minke whale mugging. That was really rad. We don't get that too often, so those guys are fun. And yeah, it's just been a whole ton of like mugging, breaching, tail slapping, lunge feeding whales.
Sounds like an
Nice.
awesome time.
Fun. So,
Yeah,
Slater
great.
Moore, if people want to go see whales, what do you have coming up?
An all-day trip. My next one's in May.
You
I
sold
have
out
an
April-
May.
available.
Yeah, so I have an April 26th or 22nd all-day trip, but that one's sold out. And if someone for some reason can't make it or whatever, I will reopen it back up. But right now, there's a kind of a small waiting list. And the May 4th one has 10 spots as of right now, recording this podcast. So
Nice.
yeah,
Cool.
And I'm kind of glad that you guys keep saying that it's later and later because those trips are later into the season. They're kind of in the middle of it, right? But still
For
on the
killer
later
whales,
end.
you mean?
Yeah, for the killer whale.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tardy.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
remember.
always say mid-April to mid-May, but really the 3rd, 4th weeks of April and the 1st week of May is like the peak.
Hmm.
So that's perfect timing, Slater.
Yeah. I'm excited.
So
I've got my fingers, toes, and nostrils crossed.
you can cross your nostrils. That's creepy.
It's gross, dude.
You know how I do.
No, I don't. I don't want to know either, though. So we also have another fun little host update. We have been working for, I think, almost 2 months with the artist Sammy Chang. And we
Yeah.
have come up with some artwork that we're going to use for future projects. But we also have a new logo. So
Yeah.
thank you to Sammy for working on that with us. We're so excited to partner with her. She is someone that we all consider a friend, and she's also a science illustrator. So it's pretty fun for her to work on the logo and some other artwork pieces for us. So you'll stay tuned to see what we're doing with all of that. But kind of fun to have like a little official thing. And it might not seem like a big deal maybe to you as a listener, but for us, it's like the podcast just keeps getting more and more real and like official and like it is a project we do for fun, but also like we're trying to step up our game. So like these are kind of the behind the scenes like business things you have to take care of, and so we're super excited for all of that. So thank you, Sammy. And her
Thanks,
Instagram
Sammy.
is S Chang Studios. We'll tag her.
Chang dot studio.
I think it's dot studio.
Studios, and we'll tag her on our Instagram and stuff so you can see the work that she did for us, and then also you can go check out her work on there. So yeah,
It's also really cool to utilize someone else that's in the field but doing something differently than us.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. I can't draw for crap.
I can't draw either. I do stick figures still.
Yeah, me too.
It's hard to make a
Stick figure
stick-figure
whales.
whale.
Yeah.
I'll try hard. Maybe I can.
Maybe that should be something you put in the Patreon, Eric, is a stick figure whale
There,
drawing.
stick figures.
That'd be
No, draw a
awesome.
stick figure of a whale.
I'll draw all of us on the whale watching boat, and then
There we go.
the extra long stick is a blue whale.
I need to have Eric and Caitlin and Adam all in the same boat so we can. Well, actually, I was gonna say something really bad. Never mind. I was gonna say we could have an earthquake, but that's not a good idea.
Whoa!
Oh yeah, that's true. Last time we.
But
had
I
that
just
earthquake-
want all the whales to breach for us at the same time.
That was the last time the three of us were in the same boat. There was an earthquake.
I take back the earthquake park, but if something could shake up the seafloor just for a second there.
I think there's been like 1 or 2 times where all 4 been like together.
I'll be on
Maybe
an all
just
day
one.
trip, right?
Now, there's that one time we recorded the podcast when I saw the super ultra rare, mega rare.
Oh, that's right. It was an afternoon trip.
Where'd we go out with? Discovery?
Discovery.
Oh,
the killer whales. Was that with was Jeff
That
and
was the-
Sarah there?
that was like an afternoon trip, wasn't it? And
No, it was an afternoon trip, and I think Eric, were you doing something?
I was
and we like, called
diving.
you.
Yeah, I was diving. You guys literally caught me right out of the
Oh.
water. Yeah.
Yeah, we tried to get you to come out
Oh,
too. I remember
I was
that.
diving with Sammy. In fact, I was diving with Sammy.
Wow,
Yeah.
small
How weird.
world.
Yeah.
Small world.
Small world. Yeah.
So, and then I have one last like little like more housekeeping type announcement before we get into our topics for the day. But I just left Maui and I was working for Pac Whale Eco Adventures, which is the for-profit side of Pacific Whale Foundation. And there are still whales there, but whale season is winding down and they're getting ready for summer season, which is like snorkeling and like cocktail and dinner cruises. And they are hiring. So if you want to get out there and work for Pac Whale Eco Adventures for snorkel season, they do a lot of really great training with their staff. And then also they're going to get you working on the ocean. If you've had aspirations from the mainland and you want to head out there, they'll bring you out there. And so if you want to apply, you just go through the Pacific Whale Foundation's website on the bottom, like where you find typical like website navigation stuff like contact us, location, that kind of stuff. There's a tab that says careers. And so you'll find the naturalist positions are listed there. If you have questions about snorkel season or snorkel trips or anything, I can answer some of that. If you want to DM us through Instagram, I'm happy to look for those messages. But also they have a pretty good description on their job posting of like what they expect of you. But yeah, I would just say, you know, people are getting ready to hire for summer. So if you're looking for jobs, you have questions, if there are places we've worked, like feel free to ask us. But I just wanted to shout out Pac Whale because I just left and I know they're looking for crew. So yeah.
And there is probably a lot of people that are looking for to hire people this summer because a lot of people didn't come back after COVID.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, even though it's such an amazing job, and some people just chose not to or found something else to do and stayed with that job. So yeah, I would look around for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've talked about it in the past. Like there's a million ways to get into this industry. Like we said, either if it's a naturalist position, a deckhand position. I started with like photography. Like there's always ways to get in, and so just like that's a great opportunity. And you know, reaching out to other companies, there's always opportunities. So be on the lookout for sure.
And also keep in mind, people, you're not going to become a millionaire or famous working on a whale watching boat. If you want attention and want to be famous, go, you know, become an actor or something. YouTube.
Unless you're Slater Moore. Unless you're Slater Moore photography.
Unless you're Slater Moore photography.
I'm not famous, you little turkey heads. Hey, but I do have an exciting update that I feel ready to tell.
You're
Okay.
Well, some of you guys know because you're on our Patreon, but I did purchase a boat, and I'm also moving back to Monterey in 3 days.
Yeah, yeet!
By the time this podcast airs, Hit Slater will already be in Monterey, I think. Well, unless we publish it right away. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm going out on Tuesday because the weather looks okay. I think as of yesterday it did. I don't know.
In your own boat, you're going out on Tuesday?
Yes.
Oh, fun.
I'm going swimming.
And there's no sea lions on your boat, I checked.
Thank you.
His boat's so
slow. It's
so low to the water.
I've both been living up in Monterey. Well, the thing is I woke up in the morning, or I was going to bed, and I was like, oh my god, it's actually been 1 week since I've seen my boat, and I was like, I tried calling Eric. It was like 9:15. I'm like, this guy's
go check on my boat, please.
But I saw that he had made an Instagram post. I'm like, well, he's awake. I'm going for it, and I called him, but he didn't answer. And I texted him. He responded. So.
Oh my goodness.
Eric.
Yeah, I checked your boat. But yeah, there's no sea. Oh, you need a deck brush. Just poop. That's it.
Oh my god.
Inside the cabin.
It's not my poop. It's the bird.
I'll have to leave you with a key so you can. There better not be no poop on my boat. I'll fight a seagull, dude.
Dude, Slater has like the nicest boat in that part of the
No, there's a Grady White down near mine. That's pretty nice. Too.
Yeah, that's a nice Grady, but that dog, man, pretty funny.
You know what? Adam had such a bad experience. The first day we walked to my boat, there was literally it was like dog poop, sea otter poop, sea lion poop, gull poop, and it was like you got to hopscotch through the poop. And then, but it's the next. I took Margot down there, and I was like, babe, just to let you know, there's probably some poop because there's so many little freaking dogs. And so I was like, there's probably some poop, and it was literally like they had put brand new dogs in. I'm not even exaggerating at all. I was like so excited.
Did they pressure wash it or something?
I don't know. There was just
Probably.
not. They were just not there. So I was
I had
happy
to
with
spray.
that.
I had to spray a turd off the area by the high spirits loading area today. So yeah, I don't know what's with the dogs over there.
Yeah, there is some small boats that take up the location by Blue Ocean, and I'm hoping that after salmon season, which I hope ends sooner than later, like I hope it's not a long one, I'm hoping I could slide on that way. Slide on that way.
Yeah.
You got
That
a
way
sweet
can-
slip though, because it's so big.
It's so close to the exit too.
Yeah,
But if you put it by me, then I can watch your boat. That's the thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing is,
Yeah.
if I leave for like, I mean,
Yeah.
just saying, if someone wants to hire me to go Tonga, since I
I
know.
last year.
I
Yeah.
got dusted on the last one.
I'm there 4 days a week, so yeah, I'll babysit the boat if it's closer.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
No, but when we go home for holidays, you know what I mean? At least it's near someone that's going out on a regular basis. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. So
Very exciting.
the first thing that we're gonna chat about briefly, well, I'll just fill you guys in on about briefly, is a follow-up from a topic we talked about on the last episode. And then we're gonna talk about marine mammal we don't talk about very often. We're gonna talk about manatees.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the vaquita. Oh.
No, we
shit.
talk about vaquitas almost every
I'm just
trip
kidding.
or every episode. What am I
Yeah,
saying? Every
I
episode.
do, literally.
Just me being dark again.
So just a follow-up on the sperm whale article that we talked about with the sperm whales teaching each other like avoidance strategies from whalers. I finally watched the second day of Whale Tales today, and Hal Whitehead actually gave a talk that is that article, but he had more of like the actual data in his slides. And so basically how they took the information and figured out that the sperm whales were teaching each other these avoidance strategies was they looked at old whaling logs, and the whalers were very precise about writing every time they launched their boats, every time they attempted to strike a whale, and how long it took to actually bring the whale in. And so they compared their sighting of whales versus their strike rate of whales over a period of time that they were working the Pacific sperm whale grounds. And after the first 5 years of being in the sperm whale whaling grounds in the Pacific, their strike rate dropped 58%. So like all of a sudden, like when they first got there, they were harpooning sperm whales left and right, like no problem. And then after 5 years, it was less than half as successful as it had been.
And it's not that there's less whales, it's that their attacks were less successful, right?
Yeah. So they were still sighting the whale, but their actual effectiveness of getting a strike off on the whale was less successful. So and even they kind of like looked at the locations and then were able to determine that even naive units of sperm whales that had never encountered whaling ships before were good at evading sperm whales. So like these animals that had never seen a whaling ship before somehow still knew how to get away from it.
Wow.
And
That's some
so
quick learning.
yeah, 5 years, and like the whole North Pacific, they were figuring it out. And then their defense mechanisms, he kind of listed them off a little more in detail. We talked about this in the last episode. Most of it that I talked about was swimming upwind. But they also stopped gathering in large social groups, and they think there was some sort of alarm mechanism that they used to communicate to each other. They swam upwind, they left the area when the whaling boats came into the area, and then they would take deep dives, or they would even attack the boats. And some of that's like anecdotes from the whaling logs that they got that information from. So pretty cool. A little more detailed follow-up about that, which was cool.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. They're
It
smart.
just really, like, 'cause you gotta think about it, like the only predator they have before humans was killer whales.
Yep.
Right. And so they had this like
gathering in groups was defense strategy against killer whales.
Yeah, and they had this like, I don't know if it's foolproof, but like this successful strategy to combat killer whales, and then they had to come up with their whole own new strategy to combat whaling ships, and that's pretty crazy. Yep. And then to be able to communicate that to other whales, it's like, what?
I wonder if sperm whales just take a dive though. I just feel like that's risky though, because if the killer whales can somehow follow them while they're down, you know what I mean, and then you're even more tired if you come up from that dive.
Yeah, and if
right?
you isolate one, then
I'd probably be I'd go for the dive on accident, dude. I'd be like, dang it, I made the wrong choice.
And you're dead.
I'd be like, dude, I've been down here for 2 hours. They've got to be gone. It's like, nah, dude, Emma's still up there.
Waiting patiently.
So wait. There's Pacific sperm whales, obviously, because we see them here. But what like category are they in, right? Because there's like the Dominica whales, there's the Sri Lankan whales, there's
and there's ones across in Japan too.
And then there's the Azores whales, like,
which is still Pacific, but
they cover a huge range.
Azores is the Atlantic.
Because that one that we had, there's that one big male that keeps on showing up every few years in Southern California, Mango. He's been seen as far as what was it, Central America? Like really far. So I know their range could be quite.
The males especially have a huge range compared to the females and juveniles.
Yeah.
So, but I don't actually know too much about like
population. Yeah.
It's funny, like we consider ourselves obviously whale nerds, but like there's still whales that like we could see here that nobody just really knows a lot about. Like I don't feel like there's a lot of information out there on Pacific sperm whales.
I think some of that is because they were exploited so heavily far into recent times. So.
You think it's possible that we could see a sperm whale that is like the ones that they see in like Shiratoko?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, do they?
I don't know.
Do they?
Cross Pacific. That's what I was saying. Not the Azores. I know the Azores is Atlantic. Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Yeah, I haven't really researched sperm whales personally a lot, but it's definitely something that if you are very interested in it, I'm sure there's at least some information. I just don't have it offhand.
Another question, or I guess point to talk about is like think about our blue whale populations and our humpback populations and our fin whale populations. Those have rebounded really well in this part of the Pacific, but in terms of sperm whales, I guess we don't really know the numbers, but you'd think we would have more sperm whale sightings like we do the other great whales, you know.
They've got to be doing okay. I mean,
maybe they just like because you guys said they used to hunt them in Monterey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they haven't showed up. You know, like what are they doing? Where are they? What are they up to?
Well, they've seen them like they see one a year, but I mean, it's not like big numbers, of course.
Exactly.
But it's weird like that. Like, Eric,
maybe
you
they
were
aren't
down there.
doing so well.
Yeah,
they'll be California for the pod of 50, right? So it's like that's 50 sperm whales. So there's definitely sperm whales somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
well, and I think
nursery pod showed. Yeah, that nursery pod showed up like not 2 days in a row. It was like a few days in a row, but like twice. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the dive times, you know, and stuff like that are keeping us from from finding them.
But we don't do we hear them? I know I can recall a couple times I've heard them on the Monterey Bay.
Yeah, we're here.
Hydrophone, but
yeah. And the hotspots
even think about.
Yeah, the current hotspots we're seeing them aren't even in the bay. It's been over way south of us, over there towards the Davidson Seamount and stuff like that. Some NOAA trips have seen them out there and stuff like that. Sur Ridge, which is also just a little bit outside the bay, south of us. So I don't know. Maybe they shifted to their locations.
Yeah, there's two other things I think would be factors in their recovery. One is the cultural dynamics as we remove so many whales from the ocean. Sperm whales are one of those species that have a highly sophisticated social structure. They do have culture. Obviously, they're sharing information amongst different social groups. So when you change the dynamics by removing whales from those groups, like that potentially cannot bode well for those animals. If they're really reliant on the whale that you killed, like their whole pod could unravel, kind of like with wolf packs or killer whale pods. So that's something to consider that makes like recovery messy, but also we continue to explore and harvest like squid species from new areas all the time. Like we're working in a whole bunch of different parts of the ocean, like extracting things. And so like we're still competing for food even though we're not hunting whales. So like that also could affect like where whales are going to find food. And we how much do we know about deep sea squid, which is what they eat? We know hardly anything.
Yeah, a lot of the squid have shifted too. For example, like Humboldt squid used to be all over, California, and now they keep on going south. I mean, they're way south. I mean, they were in Baja. They're not even in Baja anymore. They went down to like South America, like off of Chile, and hopefully they're still there. So certain squid species have completely shifted and moved out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So as things continue to change in the ocean ecosystem, it's just going to make it more complicated.
Yeah.
Try and figure out where things are.
Yeah, and that was just currently, with the Humboldts. I mean, who knows what happened back when we were hunting the sperm whale? So
Yeah.
It's just interesting. Like, I guess I've never really thought about that aspect of how, like, all the other, for the most part, great whales have recovered to semi-stable populations, except for the sperm whales. At least, I mean, but again, who knows? Like, they could be stable population. We just don't see them, But
yeah,
it's just
they're just harder to track too. That's another thing. And I'm curious about their birth rate too. Is it every other year? Like, that's good for a cetacean, or if it's less,
Yeah, I mean, I think the one population that's getting a lot of attention and study in that regard is those Dominica sperm whales with the Dominica Sperm Whale Project. And Shane Garrow, who's one of the lead scientists down there, is an incredible spokesperson for those whales. He's honestly one of my favorite people to hear talk about whales ever. So if you can find him, I think he has a TED Talk. He's a Nat Geo Explorer too, I believe. And he has lots of stuff on YouTube, like talking about his projects. He's incredible. So if you're interested in learning more about like the culture of sperm whales in particular, he has a really cool case study going in Dominica. So yeah.
I just would love to see, like, I don't know, I'm really fascinated with sperm whales. I guess it's probably because I've seen one in my entire life, and it was a freaking, I don't want to talk about it.
What if they are doing really, really well? And
I mean, that's the thing. They
how
could
cool would it
be
be to know we're always just missing them by a day or an hour, or like, you know what I mean? Like they could pop up in the middle of the bay and we miss them every single time. Like,
I remember there's that pair of sperm whales that popped off of Point Vicente for like a week straight or something.
And that's not unusual. Mango has a buddy sometimes.
Yeah, that was actually Mango. Yeah.
Was it?
It's Mango and a friend.
But see, that's two bowls.
Mango and avocado.
Where the big nurse? Like obviously,
I think his name's
you guys.
Scoop.
Like you guys have seen a nursery pod twice, and you guys have been in the ocean for however many years. Like
like 13
I can't recall
years.
any
That's
other
what I always
big.
Say about that.
34
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't remember any other nursery pod scene. I can only in recent memories it's just being bull males. So I don't know.
It's really funny how Adam, you always talk about how the false killer whales come in March, and the first time I saw them in 2014 was in March, like 17th. Isn't that crazy? That
come
every
in
almost
March.
every year now.
This year, 3 sightings.
I know, isn't that crazy?
The March.
It's so funny because you guys don't even understand. When we saw the false killer whales in 2014, the Newport boats, everybody was like, "These are they're dolphin killer whale hybrid." Like it was like all these crazy titles and like. And at that time, I knew nothing about whales other than that we watched like gray whales, and I seriously thought that we had saw the most like rarest like.
Well, they still are rare. Like again, we see them 4 times a year, 3 times a year, and that's in SoCal. I think they rarely come up to Santa Barbara. I think the Condor has seen them twice in the past 7 years. So I don't know, man. It's
short fin pilot
so
whales 2 times in Southern California.
That's a species that I have never seen, and that's a species that hasn't been sighted here in a while.
The pilot whales used to be common in Southern California.
Yeah, there was supposed to be like these. I heard some fishermen talking about seeing them all the time. Like, and then supposedly, is that you, Eric, that was telling me about the Rizzos thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Rizzos kind of.
And Eric was telling me about the Rizzos. Yeah, kind of moved in, and the short fin pilot whales moved out or something.
Yeah, so even like at my age, like early '80s as a kid, just simply going to Catalina Island, I'm not guaranteed, but it was a really good chance you would see pilot whales, and then they just slowly.
Imagine, Adam.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Adam would be like,
"Oh
my God."
Dude, if I ever see a pilot, like I don't like that's a species like I don't count on seeing, like
you have a good chance, Adam, if you actually got like maybe if you guys took an all-day trip and just went to the backside of the islands,
the one place Dave has ever seen sperm whales and pilot whales was the backside of the islands on bird trips of all things.
Exactly.
And like he always tells this story. He's like, yeah, we freaking found like a huge pot of pilot whales, and all these birders were looking at like an oyster catcher, and they didn't care about him. And I was like, ugh.
Yes, we've all seen that a million times, Adam. It's the worst thing ever. They're like, dude, an albatross. We're like, killer whales are eating a sea lion 4 inches away.
Just about 2 months ago, I think it is now. The crew from Princess Monterey was bringing their new boat from Ensenada to Monterey, and then as they passed through your area, Adam, they saw a sperm whale. So they're there. Yeah, you didn't hear about that? Yeah.
Why did I not hear about it?
Yeah, their crew bringing the boat back from the boatyard in Ensenada, Mexico. Yeah, I saw them. So they're there. Yeah.
I gotta get my own boat so I can go to the backside whenever I want.
Dude, we're going to the Davidson Seamount. We might get lost, but it's cool. We'll have to pull into San
Might get
Simeon.
lost.
This might be the last podcast that that Adam and Slater ever record because they're gonna get lost in Slater's boat.
We went out there and it was amazing. I mean, it was like blue whales and fin whales everywhere. If you're a bird, it's like petrels everywhere. It was really cool.
Isn't it funny how there's like some like places that like are still like that active? Like there's this one spot. There's this one spot that Bob Perry, who's like the old photographer on our boat, they call it the cod hole, and it's like this spot in like the middle of nowhere off of like Conception, and he says like every time he's been there, it's always just been packed with like whales.
Yep.
But it's just like such a remote place that like nobody really gets there, and I hope it stays that way.
Yeah. Davidson's kind of like that. It's way out in the middle of nowhere, but it's literally an old volcano just sits out there, and it's freaking upwelling heaven over there. So you got everything there.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Think that if the Farallon Islands had like less bad weather and they were able to whale watch as much as like Monterey Bay, that they would have similar to the same sightings as us in the bay?
I think pretty close.
How deep is it off the back of the Farallon Islands? Because it's really shallow all the way to them.
I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know they have lots of humpbacks out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, duh, you guys can't see, but this is Davidson. I mean, if you look at the numbers around me, it's all like 10,000, 12,000 feet.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, there's so many little turkey burgers out there.
Yeah.
Sperm whales, beak whales, dude, you name it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are we ready to talk about manatees now?
We might not have time.
I want to talk about whales.
Oh my gosh.
I've never even seen a damn manatee.
Oh my gosh. You're not qualified, Slater. Just put your mic on mute.
Of the podcast, dude.
Well, it's okay. We're gonna cover the basics of manatees, just in case you don't really know a
lot
about
now
them.
you're giving me the intro to manatees. Like,
you ready? Manatee 101, Slater.
Manatees are really interesting. Even their anatomy is interesting, Slater. So.
Yeah.
I did see a video of a dog and a manatee the other day. You guys see that?
No.
Yeah, this dog was.
He's qualified now.
At the manatee. I saw it on Instagram.
Wow. All right.
I know a lot about
Please
manatees.
keep your pets away from marine mammals, just in general. That's a great rule of thumb.
Yeah,
you never know when your dog's just gonna do a freaking
eat a seal or something. Yeah.
Well, also a sea lion could eat your dog. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Okay, so there are 3 species of manatees in existence today. There is the West Indian manatee, which is what we see in the United States, the Amazonian manatee, which is in South America, and the West African manatee. They are mostly herbivores, and that's how they get the name sea cow. They eat freshwater and saltwater plants. They are typically between 8 to 1,200 pounds in weight, so that's 400 to 550 kilograms. They're about 9 feet long, but up to 15 foot maximum, so average of 3 meters in length. And they are warm water dependent, so they don't really have a lot of blubber. So they can't survive in temperatures below 60 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 15 degrees Celsius, and they prefer water that's 68 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer, that's 20 degrees Celsius.
What's their closest living land relative?
We're going to get into that. Calm down, sir.
Adam?
Did you not read the notes I wrote?
Come on, I'm writing these notes down. Don't mess me up.
Okay. Their most common threats are ship strike, poison from red tide, and then habitat loss and destruction. So like red tide, when they consume the harmful algae, it builds up in their body. It's not good for them. So that's Manatee 101.
Let me see if I got this.
I see where we are now.
Manatees can be anywhere from 800 to 1,200 pounds soaking wet, 9 to 15 feet in length. They're warm water dependent, so definitely in places like Florida. Okay. Yeah. Their most common threats are ship strikes, red tide, and habitat loss.
Yes.
So yeah, sign me up. Where do I work?
Great. Okay.
Wait, why do they call them the West Indian manatees if they're seen in Florida?
So the West Indies is the Europeans that got lost. They named the Caribbean the West Indies because they didn't know where the heck they were. Good thing the Earth's not flat. They would have just sailed off the end of it. So the West Indian manatee, the Florida manatee is a subspecies of that. So what we're going to talk about for the rest of the episode is the Florida manatee, which is the subspecies. The first article, we're going to talk a little bit about the evolutionary history of manatees. They used some really cool DNA analysis, and they tried to see like what was the path of like differentiating from their common ancestor.
It's super interesting evolutionary history, right? I mean, 'cause, like, think about it. Like, they're a sea animal. They're like sort of like whales. Like, they're a mammal that lives in the sea.
Mm-hmm. But their most closest relative, it's going to be really interesting the route geographically. So their closest land mammal relative is the elephant. And they split from elephants 69 million years ago.
Yeah, I wasn't around.
You weren't there, didn't see it.
That's even before. That's even before Pachycetus.
Pictures or it didn't happen.
That's
that is before Pachycetus.
And it was the dugongs and manatees, that common ancestor split from the common ancestor of elephants. So now we're down to dugongs and manatees. The dugongs are on the other side of the Pacific from where we are currently located. Dugongs and manatees split about 46 million years ago. So quite a ways back as well.
And their only major difference is like just the fluke section, right? Just about it.
That's the biggest like physiological, visual difference that you can see.
Yeah.
Where does the stellar sea cow fit in? I missed that.
The
it looks more like a whale.
Mentioned in this paper, but I didn't want to include it to like, because I feel like we'd get way off on a sidebar about stellar sea cows. So
it'd be so cool to see a stellar sea cow.
Oh, dude, it'd be rad.
Stellar.
Okay.
Nice.
So then, for the kind of like the popular theory is that the manatees were on the western side of the Atlantic. So the West Indian and Amazonian manatees are like the oldest. And then ocean currents allowed them to spread across the Atlantic to West Africa. So the African and American manatees split about 6.5 million years ago. And then the like sort of deviation of north and south, which is actually like the West Indies and the Amazonian manatees, split about 1.3 million years ago. And if you look at like the geologic timeline of what was happening like to the Earth's crust, and like these splits, they're pretty well timed, like paired up. So when like oceanic currents allowed for the movement of ocean water from the eastern half of South America to the western part of Africa, like then manatees were moving over to Africa, like because
that's so cool.
And then the Amazonian manatee really differentiated from the West Indian manatee because the Amazon basin was forming, but there was like, so these manatees that swam really far up this freshwater system, but then they became isolated because there were like geologic events where the river became like cut off from the ocean and then it reopened again. So yeah, it was really cool.
Wow. They got to do a class on this stuff. Like, what?
That's what we're doing with this podcast.
Gosh, I know, but they don't. There's no book. Like, oh man, there's no Audible books on this stuff.
I'm sure there's a Sirenian book. There has to be a Sirenian book.
There is. I have it right here.
Oh, let Eric get it out of his freaking library.
Of course he has it within arm's reach.
You're good holding his headset.
So dude, that's kind of the background.
How do you spell it? Sirenian.
Sirenian. Sirenian.
Oh yeah.
It's as weird as cetacea.
My Sirenian book is actually, I think, either in my Pelican case or at my parents', but this one's good for Robert Bondi. This guy is actually really well known to be, a manatee expert in Florida. So this one's a good basic book. What is it called? Oh yeah, The Florida Manatee: Biology and Conservation.
How weird is that? The dugong's fluke is like very similar to a whale or dolphin, and
yeah, it's really
like what? What?
Yeah, but there's so much
convergent evolution.
The
Yes.
craziest things, there's so many things like in between from like way back then till now that are like crosses between like they almost look like a sea lion and manatee, you know? Like on our end right here in the west coast, is it Desmos?
Oh yeah, the Desmos. What are they? Desmos.
Yeah, they are like kind of like
Well, they think it's like a walrusy type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
yeah, there's just so many like in between animals that in our prehistoric record that like you can tell like in between animals. It's like whoa before they, became something we see currently.
Dude,
Yep.
can you believe that the stellar sea cow went extinct in 1768?
Yeah,
That-
wasn't that long.
That's
Are you
like
looking at that
right
photo?
there.
Yeah.
No,
What
I
happens
just
when
looked
they
it up.
taste good?
Ah,
If you
I don't
got a
wanna
great
taste one.
fur coat, if you provide power,
If you're slow,
if you taste good,
if
if
you're
you're
slow as hell.
slow. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yep. So that's kind of the evolutionary history of manatees, which is really cool.
Wait.
And I'm by no means a manatees expert, so if you want to learn more about this, I encourage you to do your own independent research because
Go listen to the Manatee Nerds podcast because
I'm sure there's something I don't know, but
Do you guys actually want to talk to someone? Do you think it'd be cool for us to bring in a manatee person? I know someone who does rescues, so
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be cool.
from
yes.
FWC. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll talk
The
because
real
we're going to
manatee
talk
man?
a little bit.
Manatee,
It'd actually be interesting to hear
manatee
about
girl.
some
Yeah.
updates here in the near future about what we're about to talk about because there's some interesting things going on. That's why I even brought them up.
Okay, I'll talk to Amber if she's willing to
Cool.
talk to us. Yeah.
So a paper just came out. We're going to talk about two papers and then just some new stuff, and then we'll wrap it up. So a paper just came out analyzing the sublethal occurrence of watercraft strikes on manatees. So, like I said earlier, one of their main threats is ship strike. So this study was done all the way up to, I think, 2016 or 17 was the last time they had data collected to put in this summary. It's quite a long time period. And they analyzed like almost 2,400 manatee carcasses during necropsy. And what they were looking at was how many different, based on scars on the body, how many different watercraft strikes an animal had that were not the cause of death. And one of the things that was in the introduction of the paper when it was just kind of like sizing up like the issue is manatees share waterways with hundreds of thousands of watercraft. So foil boards, jet skis, boats, like it's just this crazy hundreds of thousands of watercraft.
Mm-hmm.
Kayakers.
That blew my mind.
They're in
That's insane.
They're in like the busiest parts of the southeast, right
Yes.
there in intercoastal. It's like
Yeah.
And it's warm
the
too.
worst place to be. Yeah.
Yep.
Hot springs too.
So, and then just to also kind of frame up the data I'm about to rattle off with you, not all collisions with watercrafts leave scars. So they're saying that all the data they reported on is a very likely to be an underestimate of this problem.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind when I tell you all these things. So watercraft strikes account for 20 to 25% of manatee mortality overall. And their method of determining the number of watercraft strikes, they explain it really well in the paper, but they take photos of the manatee's body during the necropsy, and then they make these scar sketches. And so like there's people that are really well trained in like knowing this stuff that do the necropsies, and they sketch out like color coded each event. So they look at like the angle, whether it was a propeller, whether it was like from the underside of the vessel, all that, and they like color code it based on the events. 96% of the adults they necropsied had watercraft strike scars. 96% had
96%.
sublethal scars.
Wow.
1 in 4 of those adults that had scars from 10 or more watercraft.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And there were 5 adults in their study period that had strike scars from over 40 different watercraft.
Jeez, that's
Oh
crazy.
God.
70% of the subadults they had in their study had strike scars, and 34% of calves that were in their study had strike scars. By comparison, if you want to compare this to a whale population, the Gulf of Maine population of humpback whales 14.7% of live animals have watercraft strike scars, and one animal, the highest number of incidences that are easily documented as separate incidences, is 4.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean,
14% of living humpbacks, 96% of manatees in this study.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
think
just
about. Sorry.
it's so concentrated right there. That manatees are just like literally like right with the boats. Whereas here we got so much more water spread out. It's tough for them.
Yeah.
Think about gray whales. And they're not necessarily like negative ship strikes, but like when they rev up against a boat, there's barnacles and stuff growing on the bottom of the boat. There's zincs, there's all sorts of stuff on boats, and they rub into them. And I mean, you can see there's little calves that get cut because they're just rubbing up against the side of the boat. Not that it's not going to kill them, but they definitely get. There was little calves there that had prop scars on them already. It definitely. And it's not, and it's not like these boats don't even have to be moving for this to happen. They could run into the boat themselves,
Yeah. Yeah, I think they sort of, they explain it pretty good in the methods. They have, there's obviously scars on manatees that are not from watercraft, or at least not from like a moving watercraft. And so they have they had a way to kind of like tease that out of the results. But even if like a small percentage was from a non-moving watercraft, like this is an enormous problem. Like that's insane. How many 40 watercraft over the life of an adult? Like that's crazy.
I mean, they could also I wonder how they know if they're like how they can tell they're watercraft versus like I'm looking at pictures over there. It looks like there's some like storm drains and stuff that go into the area. I don't know.
Yeah, if you open
so
the
maybe they
picture, they have
themselves
like a description of the categories of like what makes it a watercraft scar.
Okay, yeah, because it could be some from docks, right? Docks, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely, they get scars from other things as well, but like they had a pretty good system of like determining it was from a watercraft.
Yeah,
which is crazy. And then as you looked across the areas that the necropsies were done, the west coast of Florida, those carcasses had the most scars. Then the east coast of Florida, and then manatees in the Everglades. So the Everglades is not nearly as transited by watercraft as the west coast of Florida. So that it's a factor of boat traffic, basically.
Yeah.
And then the adult females had more scars than the males. And they said that's likely due to their behaviors during their reproductive years. So like females that are pregnant are foraging in shallow water more often because that's the least energetically taxing locations to forage is in shallow water. And then also when they're with calves, they spend a lot of time at the surface as well because the calf can't hold his breath as long. And then females do actually live longer than males in their overall life history. So they think that it's a factor of like how long the animal lives.
Yeah.
And then they have this pretty compelling graph showing the expected increase in scars based on the increase in body length. So the older you are, the bigger you get, the more scars you're going to have.
Mm-hmm. It's like a Rizzo.
Yeah. Except it's not from other Rizzos.
It's not from prey. It's from...
now that we talk about, we can really do like literally multiple episodes about manatees. Like one kind of interesting thing about them is, that position, you when you think of a manatee, how they're always in, they're obviously kind of,
laying at the surface.
kind of horizontal. Their lungs are actually on their very back. It's not like, you would think around.
Yeah, their head is usually down and like the middle of their back is up at the surface.
But their lungs are on the back because that kind of aids in their buoyancy. So, when they get hit, it's obviously, any hit's bad in any area of the body, but your lungs are back there. So it's brutal.
Evolution is so crazy. It's like, we'll just move the lungs to the back. No big deal. They weren't working for you in your chest, so
it's honestly so true.
But if you look at their ribs, if you look at their ribs, it's like it's made to kind of like protect that area. I mean, if you look at their ribs and the
manatee anatomy,
the diameter of them, they're pretty big. They kind of look big for an animal for its size, So I think that's also changed over time to kind of maybe protect those lungs. It's pretty amazing. Adam's looking it up right now. He'll see those belong to a manatee. They're thick,
Do you think whales look at manatees like, you're so dumb for keeping it on your nose?
What the heck?
You should have moved it to the back of your head.
They're like it covers like all of their organs, their lungs.
Yeah.
Like they have like huge like long lungs. What the heck?
And it covers the back, right? It's weird.
Yeah.
So weird, yeah. But it's a good and a bad thing. It helps them out with their buoyancy, but as far as ship strike goes, ugh. Do you see the bones
Oh,
yet? Yeah,
that's
those ribs
crazy.
are
Those ribs are gnarly.
chunky. Yeah.
So the other paper I wanted to talk about, this one is really like tedious on the biochemistry. So if you don't feel compelled to like read this yourselves, if you see the link on our Facebook page later, like I don't blame you. It's pretty tedious to get through. But the main points that I wanted to make is that it's coming out. It's in the July 2021 issue of the journal it's in, but it's chronic exposure to glyphosate in the Florida manatee. So glyphosate is an herbicide used on sugarcane fields, and so it's getting into the waterways that manatees use via runoff, but also sometimes it's carried by the wind. And more than 55% of manatees sampled in the study that they did had this herbicide present in their body. And this herbicide causes kidney and liver issues in rats and mice that are tested in the lab. And because they're all mammals, they're assuming it does the same to manatees, and it also compromises their immune function. So while manatees are trying to combat all these other issues in their environment, they're also having this other like pollution factor to deal with, and it's an herbicide that's found in really high rates in manatees.
Mm-hmm.
So why I thought that was even relevant at all is because Florida manatees are going through an enormous die-off right now. So they've already had 430 manatees die this year in 2021.
Jesus.
200 of them were in the Indian River area alone, in one concentrated area. And some of the factors that are being discussed about why is because those cold water events that happened in the southern U.S., the southeast U.S. over the last 3 months. We saw like the cold stunned sea turtles and snow in Texas and all that stuff. Well, it cooled the water to the point where manatees were getting cold shock in such high numbers that like people just couldn't rescue them all, and they were just dying in huge numbers. But also, the plants that they eat don't survive well in cold water either. So not only are the manatees dying from how cold it is, there's also not very much food to eat. And then one article also talks about the toxin level with high numbers of runoff, with all the rain pushing all those pollutants into the ocean, into the freshwater waterways, and then out into the ocean. So manatees are having a rough go right now. And I think this coming Monday, there's going to be an emergency meeting facilitated by Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission because it's like an unprecedented number of dead manatees.
Have they declared a UME or?
Not yet, but I'm wondering if that's what the emergency meeting is going to discuss.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't it seem a little weird that like a California sea lion can handle very cold waters, yet a manatee can't? I mean, I guess they have fur.
Yeah, well, they have fur and blubber. Manatees, even though they look like really porky, they're an herbivore, so they don't have a lot of fat and they don't eat like a high energy food source. They're not eating a lot of protein and a lot of fat. They're eating plants, so they're a little more susceptible.
Yeah, I guess they just look very blubbery, huh?
Yeah, but they're actually not. They're quite gassy though.
Yeah, that helps them with.
That's because they eat a lot of plants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vegans. That's why Slater likes them.
So yeah, that was my thanks for entertaining my manatee episode, you guys. I texted them beforehand and asked if it was okay.
Dude, manatees are rad.
I love them.
If you don't want to go with me, guys, to see manatees, it's cool. I'll go by myself.
We've all seen manatees except for you.
I've seen them,
dude.
You swam with them though?
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, liar.
I swam with sea lions, dude. They're relatives. Not really at all.
Not really at all.
Not even close.
Don't tell Nick Pyenson that you said that.
Oh, dude, that's my friend.
So, yeah, that's all I have for this episode.
How about this, Slater? I'll go back in time with you to hang out with stellar sea cows. That's what I'll do. You're welcome.
I'm going way for
if
I have the option.
Better than the Eocene.
I'm going. It's better than the Eocene. Disrespect.
Nothing's better than the Eocene. Maybe the Miocene.
So is that it?
I think that's it for this one.
Okay.
You guys know that?
That
You guys
was
know that
good.
manatees have little fingernails?
Yeah, you can
Yes,
see
they
him.
do. They're so cute.
Yeah, they're hella cute.
You want me to
yeah.
send
You guys would
Caitlin?
know 'cause you've seen them.
Slater wouldn't know, but
I used
Kalen?
to own a finger painting class for them. Okay.
I can send you manatee photos, Caitlin.
Yeah, that would be great because I'm
Right.
not only am I between jobs, I'm between computers, so I don't have like any of
Oh.
my photos.
Are you
Okay.
getting a new laptop, Caitlin?
Probably at the end of the whale season.
she's got to get a 100 to 400 first, bro.
Yeah, I'm getting
I
a
like to
lens
hear.
first.
Get the
But I
camera
have
lens.
my desktop computer in Massachusetts. I'm not there yet.
Massachusetts.
Woo! All
So
right.
yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon as well. We really appreciate your continued support on there and our new patrons or people that upgraded their Patreon gift every month. That was super cool of you. So thank you. And thank you for following us on social media and reviewing and rating the podcast wherever you listen to it. And if you don't follow us on social media, it's at Whale Nerds.
Yeah, we have a sick new logo now.
Yeah,
Sick.
check out
Yeah, I
that
just
new
updated
logo
the one on
there.
Facebook.
Well, I
Sick.
updated the one on Instagram.
Well, you're fired.
You guys are on your phones while we're podcasting again.
I did it.
No, I did it before.
Yeah.
Gosh, Caitlin.
You
God,
guys just
Mom.
want a small glimpse into my life.
She checks the timestamp. She's like, ha ha.
He's like, aha, got
That
you.
was 13 minutes into the podcast.
37 minutes ago, we've been podcasting for 50 minutes.
Oh yeah, well I'm gonna do it on the Patreon page.
Oh
Yeah,
my
thank
gosh.
you guys so much for the Patreons again because of your continued support. We use that to go towards getting new logos, and that means a lot to us. So thank you so much.
Yes. Thank
Nothing
you.
possible without you.
Thank you,
Hey,
everyone.
we have 17 patrons.
Yeah. Isn't it awesome?
Hey, you're not allowed on our Patreon, dude.
I can bank, yo.
Who gave you the
Hey,
login?
anyways, you guys, let's end the episode. Wait,
Thank you.
wait. We gotta
Wait.
go.
Oh,
with,
what's the secret? What's the secret word?
secret whale? Secret.
Hold on. I got one.
Just
Dude,
put
Hector's
sight
humpback
lines.
whale dolphin.
Hector's Dolphins.
Oh my god, you guys pick one.
Humpback
Hector's
whale
Dolphins. What? No, Hector's Dolphins, dude.
You can't even spell
What do
it.
we do? I think last time we didn't even do an actual animal.
It wasn't a real animal.
It wasn't a real animal.
It was.
Just put
Slater just said something.
what was the manatees? What did they think they were? Mermaids.
Merman.
Put mermaid or merman on the post about the episode.
Or Hector's Dolphins.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.